and welcome to the Visionary VA podcast, the go-to show for ambitious virtual assistants who are ready to stop trading their time for money and start scaling their businesses into thriving agencies. I'm Holly Copsey, founder of the award-winning agency Virtually Priceless and the Visionary VA Circle community. Each week, I'm here to bring you actionable strategies, proven systems, and mindset shifts to help you transition from a solo VA to a visionary agency owner. If you're ready to grow your business to dizzying new heights with less stress and more success, you're in the right place. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. Today I am delighted to welcome the lovely Mel Maw, founder of the Lifestyle VA. After years supporting London and New York's biggest CEOs, celebrities and ultra high net worth clients, Mel launched the Lifestyle VA 7 years ago. Now she leads a growing team of super efficient virtual assistants who act like fairy godmothers with laptops, handling everything from business admin, tech and systems to family logistics. Their mission? To give ambitious working families their precious time back so they can build stellar careers and create those magical core memories with their loved ones, minus the admin overwhelm. I love that intro. Mel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Yeah, we're definitely fairy godmothers with laptops. Client described us once as that, and I was like, that sticks.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one to use for sure. So could you start off, please, by sharing a bit more about your journey from employee in the corporate world to becoming a VA agency owner and what led you to make that transition?
Oh, cliche and classic health burnout. I was a full-time assistant to the chief and CEO of a major high street company, and the recession hit, Brexit happened, and everything started getting squashed. So my admin team of 5, I think I managed 3 out of the 5 of them, got squashed down and down and down. And we sort of had this reception job share and that got squashed. And then there was times where reception wasn't open. And then bit by bit, the chiefs were saying, oh, well, you're going to answer reception phones from your desk. And when you're looking after the CEO, you already have all of the board, all of everybody coming at you every 2 seconds when you're trying to work. I don't know how I worked like that before. And then just my team got kind of dismantled. And in the end, it was like, I cannot do this job. I'm burning out because I'm doing 4 people's jobs. Mm-hmm. I didn't really take a sort of gap year or anything when I was younger. I worked pretty much from the age of 15, 16. And I thought, you know what, it's the perfect time. I'm just going to take this time out. And before that, I'd lost my spleen, which is part of your immune system. And I had a massive surgery to get rid of that. And you can live a normal life with it. But I was very conscious I had more doctor's appointments and things like that than a normal person. And the corporate job, they started squeezing back on all the appointments. And, you know, I started getting asked, am I interviewing for other jobs? And I sort of thought, no, I've just got lots of doctor's appointments because I have an organ missing. So, you know, and it just felt like I couldn't take care of myself. And so I thought, right, I'm out. I'll take a sabbatical. I'll take a few months off. And I just didn't come back. So I schlepped over to Bali like a middle-aged backpacker in a midlife crisis. And I really just intended to come back to London and continue working somehow, something, but I needed to figure out what that was. And I met all these incredible digital nomads traveling. And that was, believe it or not, having been an EA for so many years, it was the first time I'd really heard about the virtual assistant world. And I don't know how I didn't see that before, but hearing that I could work with clients I liked on work that was specific to the skills that I had just seemed so amazing. And so I took on a couple of little clients while I was on sabbatical, and gradually it just came and built. And I'd actually sold a house for a private client. So that was like my startup fund, the commission on selling the house. Always had more than one job. And yeah, it all just came to fruition. While I was away, I quit in the middle of a rice field, and my boss was amazing. And he sort of sat there leaning back in his chair on a video call, steepling his fingers and going, well, we all have one life. We should all be doing more of this. Good luck. I was like, okay, I'm doing it. And then, yeah, so I came back a year later from Bali, flip-flops in a business, and I wanted to do it my way without, you know, the blazers and the twin suit set and the high-powered stuff. I just wanted it to suit who I was, which is quite a happy, free-spirited, quirky person with all these skills. And I could monetize that and actually live a life where I could take care of myself. So That's the cliche, but like most of us, flexibility and health, that's, it tends to be why we start these businesses.
Absolutely. And it's so great that you've taken that break and then just been inspired by other people to just go off and do it. And it is a big, scary leap. So, good on you for taking it. That's the first thing, isn't it? To even just be brave enough to do it, because it is risky. It certainly feels it. But like you say, one life and we should live it. And I'm all for creating that dream business and that dream life.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
your business now, so you offer both lifestyle and business services. Do they tend to go hand in hand, or do you have separate client base for each service?
We have both sides of it. So we have the lifestyle clients who just have lifestyle. We have the business who just have business. And then we have a sort of a marriage in the middle where clients have a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And they think that they start as business, and then we go, but we can meal plan for you. We can book that holiday. We can sort through the school emails. And they go, and so they come into that happy middle. So we definitely have one side, the other in the middle ground covered. We just kind of, not that we push the lifestyle services on them, but to us, they're a whole human. Yeah. And so in order to take care of somebody, we just start to, by nature, see all these other things that we can do. Yeah. And then we suggest that. And they're just like, this is magical. I don't know what I did before you. And it's like, well, you're a whole human. So your life, your health, your family's well-being is a part of taking care of you, even if we came in for business. So it's kind of symbiotic.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love that. And tell me a bit more about your hire a VA for the day service. I found that when I was doing my research, and I think that sounds like a great concept. Is that quite popular? And does it tend to then lead to longer term clients?
It's so interesting. So I've had so many people turn up to discovery calls for that and then go, do you know what? And I send the proposal, they go, sounds amazing. And they're like, well, what is it like if we actually retain you? And then we're back into like 10, 20 hour retainers. And it's so funny because they come for that. They have the conversation, and there's just kind of an illumination moment where they're like, there is so much that actually, when you describe what you can do in those sort of 4 hours with a VA for all of like £200 plus VAT, it's magical. You can get a whole summer booked. And then they go, but can you do this? And can you do that? And then they start to go through the wheels of their brain, all the lists that they have for other things. And they go, I think I need you for more than that. So literally every single person has ended up not hiring a VA for the day, but hiring a VA on a monthly retainer, and is still with us 6 months to a year later. So it's almost like the tripwire trick.
That's a really interesting idea, isn't it? It's almost like a new type of lead magnet, isn't it? It's getting people onto those calls and then actually being able to show them what you can do and what value you can provide.
Yeah, I'm like an agony aunt on a discovery call. I love them. I'm like, tell me all your problems. And they're like, I'm word vomiting at you, but that's the best thing, because I've got such a strategic brain now. Your brain's listening, but you're thinking of 12 things that you could do and suggest. Absolutely. And then they're like, this feels like therapy. I'm like, yeah, I should do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the best thing with clients, isn't it? When you've got that relationship where you feel like they're therapists and they offload to you every week. And that's just such a great bit of extra value that you add, because a lot of people don't have that in their business. Even if they've got a team, they can't share to the same level of detail they can with someone who's independent like that. So tell us a bit more about your team then, because obviously you've gone from it being just you in the business to now having a team. How many do you have, and what sort of roles do they do for you?
We're at 5 to 6 at the moment, and it ebbs and flows. I've had more, I've had less. It depends on the seasons. It's definitely, last year was a weird year for business, and this year it's kind of tracking back up. And they're all contractors, so I don't have any employees. Mm-hmm. I'm not there with that yet, and we can come back to that. But there's 5 to 6 of them, and a lot of them work on more than one client for me, because if they're good, and I've tested working with them, I want to be able to give them more work and more clients, because that's also the easiest way. The risk you take is doing all the interviews, screening the people, and then taking them on and then not aligning with the client. Your matchmaking senses, I think, just get so much sharper as the years go by. Yes. So I like to think I'm really good at matchmaking, but I still don't always get it right, but I'll always make it right, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So the client doesn't feel the disruption. But I have an amazing team. They are my fairy godmothers. I wouldn't have the business without them. They all help one another. We have a team Slack workspace for them, and then obviously they have one with their clients, and they're so collaborative and communicative, and they're all mums. I was thinking, is anyone not a mum? They're all mums. So they've got this incredible work ethic, whether they've got really little ones or teenagers. Yeah. They just work so hard, and then that gives them the ability to work around their school runs and their kids and their life responsibilities. And for me, I love that. And that's something that we need more of, because God knows society isn't built around the flexibility that mothers need. So I love that I've created a space where it not just helps me live out my dream, but it helps them have more flexibility and gives them the income and the lifestyle they want as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And do they just work on clients for you, or do you have anyone supporting you internally with anything at all?
Honestly, I need the help. And it's one of those things I've been hanging on to my profit because last year was a tough year. So I think I'm still very much in that mindset of I need to just have a little chunk in the bank, keep that there. And then when the time is right and it looks like things are tracking up enough, I'm very tight on my margins and my profit lines and all of the revenue, because the worst thing is to overspend and then have a crash out month. Sometimes the girls, to be fair, I'm like, can you just do this for me? And they just do a little bit here and there. But I think in the next 6 months, I definitely do need a little bit more back of house support. And that's something that I will have. And it's sort of ebbs and flows. Like I've had a marketing VA before and all sorts of little help. But yeah, it's I think in order to grow, there's things that I have to step back from. And I know that. And I sort of slap myself on the wrist because I'm still doing things that I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, it's always really tough, isn't it, to get the balance right? And I do the same in my business. You know, I've had times where I've had a huge amount of help and other times where we've had to dial it back a bit. Absolutely. And there's some key things that, I have to have some help helping with, but other things, like you say, with the marketing, that's a bit more flexible. And if things are quieter, I can do more of that myself. But actually, when it gets really busy, I also know to bring the help in. So I think it's just being aware of it. And like you say, making sure you've got some money in the bank and that you can, have that bit of savings for when the times are a bit tougher is also a really wise decision. But I think as long as you're aware of it and you know what help you need when the time is right, that's key.
If we're starting an agency, we don't understand that we actually need a pot of money in the bank for so many things. Running a team and all the costs of software per head, and then client gifts if you gift when they join, and team gifts and things like that. And I'm keen on giving people Christmas presents as well. So we don't think about the profit line needing to cover that. So you can't run month to month with an empty bank account at the end of it. It won't work. So you have to be really hot on the profit line, because there's so many things I think no one tells you that you need to have money in the bank for. So I'm always super keen on that. And I have an awesome accountant as well.
Yeah, that is definitely one bit I outsource and will continue to do so for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And so how and where do you find your associates?
So it is a mix. I have an open application form all the time, which is lovely because I do get people pop in and drop in applications, which is brilliant, rather than having it just closed unless I'm having an open call for a role. I've found so many of my team through Facebook groups and then word of mouth. And the other things tends to be memberships that I'm in. I'm in a LinkedIn membership called The Halt. I think I've had 2 members come from that this year. So communities, Facebook groups, and just sometimes I don't even know where they've come from, even though there's a little tag in the questions like, where did you find me? But yeah, honestly, Facebook groups have been the best, and there'll always be a ton of applications to sort through, but that has produced some incredible team members for me. Yeah,
it's exactly the same for us. And you mentioned employees there that you don't have any for now, but is it something that you consider for the future?
I think it scares me, and I don't know. I know why, but I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's such a big responsibility, and I think it comes down to, again, having to have so much stability in the business financially in order to make that a viable option. And as I said, like last year was a little bit of a rocky year, which I think on average about every 3 or 4 years, they'll all have a tumbleweed year. And I know that, and it's just part of having resilience in your business. And as we said, to try and make sure you're always planning ahead for the best and also the worst. And I think because of that, I'm not ready. I don't know when I'll be ready. The model of having contractors has worked so well for me at the moment. I'm not sure if I'll ever be ready to have employees, to be honest, controversial or not. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think there's no right or wrong with that, right? It's just what feels like the right thing to do for you. So I think absolutely don't feel pressured by that if it's not the right thing. Yeah, it's certainly not for everyone, that's for sure.
No. Some people make a great success of it. And I'm like, how do you do that? Teach me the ways. Because for me, it feels like quite a big thing and quite scary. Whereas at the moment, it's all working nicely. And it's almost like when something's working, you kind of don't want to change it.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. So what's your day-to-day role in the business now? How do you spend your time? Are you still doing client work, or are you mostly focused on running the business?
So no client work. I'm 7 years in. I think I stopped doing client work about 2.5 years in. About 2.5 years in. And that was probably about 6 months. I dropped the client work probably about 6 months later than I should, just because I had possibly the world's best client, and I still love her to this day. I don't work with her because she moved to California to be quite an important person over there. But that was hard to let go of, only because I was like, who is going to handle this? Just the unicorn of clients. She was incredible, and I finally found someone to hand her over to, and then I stepped back and I was like, oh my gosh, I have time, I have freedom, I have flexibility in my schedule. I'm never going back to client work. So I didn't, unless there's an emergency. I will always step in for a client if there is an emergency. Yeah. But you're almost limited a little bit with that, because when you have so many clients and so many team, you also don't know the micro details of what that team member does for the client every single day. So I do what I can to fill in, but no client work for a long time now, and I won't go back to that. And the majority of what I do is the marketing, the sales, the discovery call, the team management. There's always business optimization and systems. Mm-hmm. And that's such a big part of what we do, and making sure that I've got blogs on the website that are SEO friendly, or I'm writing my podcast script so that I can use that as content and marketing and just put that everywhere. So that in itself, the marketing and the sales side of things, just feels like a full-time job. And then if you add a bit of chunk of team management in, usually everyone's plain sailing. Sometimes stuff, don't know if I can swear, hits the fan, and then you've gone and your whole day or week has gone sideways. So you also need to have the space in your schedule as a business owner for when stuff really goes wrong, because people and stuff will happen, and there will be fires that you have to put out. And I speak from having put one out yesterday, so that derailed my whole marketing day. So, lots of things.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And I'm the same. I haven't done that client work for a few years now. And I have those times where I think, oh, should I take on a role? Maybe I could pick something up, but there is so much else to do. And I know that if I do that those things would fall by the wayside. And like you say, things like marketing, it's the thing you have to focus on. You've got to keep those leads coming in, especially when you've got a team to fill roles for.
Yeah. And in truth, probably shooting myself in the foot here, but I'm rusty. I am not as good as I used to be, because I'm almost out of practice with doing it. And I love the strategy and the structure of growing a business now, more than doing admin and lifestyle stuff. And I just think I'm not the best person for it anymore. So I would be doing the client that I would take on a disservice when the rest of my team are shit hot and would be so much better at it as well. So it's sort of almost like, I'm just not probably that good at it anymore.
I know what you need. I can find you the right person. Yeah, that's definitely your approach.
Yes.
Oh, so in this sort of journey, your 7-year journey now, what have been the highs and lows for you? Because I know that it's a roller coaster, but what have been the highs and lows of starting the business and growing your team?
Let's start with the lows. The lows is the stuff that no one prepares you for, is the people management. It's the best of the best when it works. And when it goes wrong, or someone lets you down, or you're in a catastrophe, someone's let you down and that's it, you think you're going to lose the client, that is completely soul crushing. And you get resilient at picking yourself back up and figuring it out. But you have those moments where, my boyfriend's just picking me off the floor crying because I'm like, I can't take any more stress. But it happens. And I think that's the hardest part of the business sometimes is I don't always get it right. I'm still a human who makes mistakes. And whilst I've been doing this 7 years, and I think I'm pretty good at spotting the signs about who's good, who's not right for the role, there will always be something that you just can't match and marry or get right 100% of the time. And then when it falls down, because it's you, and I care so deeply about the level of work we do, the type of work, the way that we make sure the clients are supported. I love our clients so much that I feel like I've let people down. And I think that's the low part where it's really difficult. And I think the highs of it, I have a perfect example. So we talk about doing this for lifestyle, right? And in true transparency, I moved house at the very first week of March into a dream house with my partner, buying that together. So there was house chaos. I was already planning to be off for a week or two to do all of that. And then I got a call that my mum was dying. And that was it. I was her palliative care for a week, the same week that we moved into the house. And I know this sounds weird to say it's a high. Thank you, love. It's been full on, but in a weird way, the high comes from, I just said to all my team, I'm in this situation. I don't know how long it's going to go on for, and I can't function to work, and I can't even get the words out in a Slack message to tell my clients because this is horrific. Can you please tell them? And please know that I will not be working for at least a month. And it ended up being about 6 weeks before I came back to the business, even then just part-time. They held it down. They did everything. The clients were incredible. I got care packages, gifts, messages, just because when I care about them, clearly they care back, and that was really lovely.
Yeah.
And the team just rallied. They didn't ask me for a single thing, but I knew that I'd set up so many SOPs so that if I was never around for any reason, they had an answer to everything they could possibly need. And I couldn't run my business without that system, those SOPs, those processes, everything documented. Mm-hmm. So they actually had everything they needed, but just being incredible people, they went, don't even contact us. Unless, even if there's an emergency or a fire, Mel, we're not contacting you. You look after you and your family, and you do what you need to do. So I was actually able to step away from the business for the first time I've ever done that, for 6 straight weeks, just to try and focus and heal and do all these things. And in that time, I was like, I can't work because I was painting, and I got our Airbnb up and running in the house. So there you go. It was just chaos. And one of my team stepped in with my partner and set up the entire house, all the bills. So literally I used my own squad to set up my house in the way that we do for clients, all the bills, all the utilities, close them from the old place. And I was just like, I cannot tell you the relief I felt. And I saw firsthand what our clients get, but in such a needed situation. And I just thought, I've worked hard to get to this point. Never imagined I would need this, or I would be in this situation. But, weird to say it's a high, but, they just stepped in and did everything, and I could be out of the business completely.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful to hear it's in such terrible circumstances, and so sorry to hear that. That's really sad news. Exciting about the house, but very sad about your mum. But
yes, it was. I mean, grieving in a beautiful house.
Yeah. And having the opportunity to test being able to step away from your business, because how many of us actually truly do that? We might take a week or two's holiday, but to fully step away and to know and trust your team is huge. And at the end of the day, it's your reputation, right? That business is your baby. You've built it over years. It's a big step. So yeah, you must feel incredibly proud to know that they can really pull together and pull it out of the bag when you need them to.
I love those women. We got back I was like, right, I'm not doing one-to-ones. I'm going to do group calls with the team from now on, just because at that point, obviously, I didn't have the energy. And I got back on that first call. First minute, I cracked a smile. One of them turned around and she burst into tears and she went, I'm so happy to see you smiling. And I was like, you're like a bunch of moms for me. It's just like, I just think I've done something right.
Well, absolutely. And you should feel very proud of that, because building a culture like that for a remote team is a really tough thing to do. So yeah, it's those situations, isn't it, that happen that make you really realize how well it's worked. And my team are very similar. They all work very closely together and they support each other in their own businesses as well. I know they cover it for each other when they're on holiday and things. And it's so great that you get the chance to build that community as well. It's a really lovely feeling.
It is. And I think because of that, I'm trialing not working on Fridays now. Just obviously I'm still going through the process of healing and all of the stuff. And so I'm trialing not working on Fridays. And everybody, if I do a message or there's an automated message that's popped up in Slack that doesn't say it's automated, everyone tells me to get lost. It's great.
Oh, too funny. So is there anything you do differently if you had the chance to start your business from scratch, knowing everything you know now after these 7 years?
I think I made a classic mistake when I started, but it was very quickly fixed, which is I hired a friend as my first contractor, and she was overqualified and she ended up riding off into the sunset with a client. So that quickly put me in the mindset of, right, how do I protect myself in my contracts from this happening going forward? So I think the mistakes are the things that teach you. I think you have to fail so many times, and that has to be something you accept is going to happen. It's how quickly you get up again. And I don't necessarily think, apart from not hiring a friend, don't recommend that. I don't think I would do anything differently, because I've had businesses before. So I had a marketing and PR business in my 20s, but I think this time around I was so keen to not run before I could walk, and to make sure that this was something I could grow sustainably. I wasn't interested in those. I get spinning my wheels to get to 10K months and 100K years. Yeah. I didn't buy into that, because I knew that if I grew it slowly, I could put the structure in place to sustain it and to be able to manage it. To me, I think the end goal was never to amass a fortune doing this. It was to have purpose, to profit, and to work with good people. And I think that's where you have to maybe set a mission for why you're doing this in the first place, because it won't be easy, but it will be one of the most rewarding things that you do. Yeah, so absolutely. I don't think I would do anything differently.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great to hear. And what top tip or piece of advice would you give someone who's considering expanding their business by building a team?
I would say do it and start slowly. Honestly, the way I did it in the beginning was I wasn't confident to completely have that contractor be immediately face to face with the client, because it was the first time that I was sort of delegating out. So I stayed in the middle just to almost check the work. And that helped me build the confidence to then actually give direct client work to that associate. And I think if you just go steadily and you just document everything that you do and the way that you do it, and also come up with a kind of a manifesto for how you operate, what your values are, who you are as a business, what you want that business to represent to your clients, and how you want to present yourself. I think have those things down and start small in bites that feel, they're going to feel a bit stretchy and uncomfortable, but try it, build the confidence, because sometimes your brain would just need the evidence that something is working before you take that next step. Yeah. And I think just know your numbers if you're going to start an agency, because as we say, the moment you switch off all client work, you lose a massive chunk of your income. So you've got to kind of then know your numbers to know where that tipping point is, that you've got something in the bank and you can ride out that kind of bringing the profit back up that goes into your pocket. So know your numbers, start slowly, but give it a shot, and you'll soon figure out if it works for you or if it doesn't.
Yeah. And you can always go back, right? That's the thing. If you try
exactly.
It's your business, it's your life. We have the flexibility to change. Yeah. That's great.
Nothing's permanent. Yeah, these decisions we make aren't permanent in the business at all. And that's such a good point, because I think people go, oh, I've got to do it, and then I've got to do it and see it through. And it's like, you get to change your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. What do you feel running an agency has given you personally? How has it changed your life?
I have so much flexibility in my schedule, and that gives me way more of a life, I think, than I ever had in corporate or would ever have being an employee again. And I will never go back. I think it's that. I think it's the flexibility, the quality of life. I can drop everything and pick up my stepdaughter from school if needed. I can walk the dog whatever time. I can have lunch. I can go out, do my nails and work a bit in the evening. Like there's just more quality of life and more flexibility. Yeah.
It's a full work-life integration, isn't it? Which I just love. It's actually just do it to suit you and create the life that you want to live. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. And it's so fabulous to hear what an awesome business you've built and what a great team you have. As I say, you should feel incredibly proud. And it's so great to hear that you really have built that dream life that you want, and that you're being strict about those boundaries and making it work for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day and talk soon. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Visionary VA podcast. I hope you're walking away with fresh ideas and inspiration to scale your VA business. Don't forget to check out our free mini course on building solid business foundations, perfect for setting your VA agency up for success without the overwhelm. You'll find the link in the show notes. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next week.